This lovely foxtail palm has been the centerpiece of our courtyard garden. It's about 3.5 years old. Nobody could have told me that it would grow so fast. We put it in a large pot, and the last 6 months or so, Foxy decided that she was going to burst out the pot. This is what we would call an epic repotting, something that I definitely need help to do. So today, having postponed it for at least 3-4 months, longer than I should have, I've gotten some help, and we are going to tackle the replanting, the repotting of foxtail. So hold on a second, we'll set the stage, and we're going to try to repot this huge plant. Before we get into the repotting, let me just tell you why foxtail is so popular. A native of Australia, and it really became popular in the West in landscaping circles 30 or 40 years ago. It is so popular now mainly because it grows so fast, it's easy to care, and it serves the same function in a landscape as other stately palms such as royal palm. We got our first relatively small foxtail palm about 3 years ago, and it came in a 9-inch pot. After about 8 months, the roots had started coming out of the bottom of the pot. So we changed it up to the next stage of, I think it was an 18-inch pot at that time, where it stayed for about 1.5 years until you see what is happening now. It has pushed itself out of that pot. So this little one is coming as a follower to the big guy. It's about 1.5 years to 2 years old, and you see we've already potted it up, taken it into the stage, the 18-inch pot, from which, as if you can see closely, it has started to come up out of that pot. So I would think in about 6 to 8 months, this one is going to tell us for sure that we need to up-pot it. So foxtail, I'd recommend it if you want a fast-growing, easy-to-care plant in your garden. It does well in pots once you are prepared to repot it every 2 years or so. But make sure you put it in a bright location and that the potting mix is free-draining and rich. We've assembled the materials that you're going to use for repotting. First item is the tarpaulin or any other covering to protect the area you're working on. Then the cutting tools. We're not sure exactly what we will need. We have the secateur, a sharp knife, and a saw, and the potting soil. And in this case, we're using our combination of soil, compost, and perlite. I have also included the foliar fertilizer on this display because when you're transplanting, it's always a good idea to, the first transplant water should be a fertilizer to give the new plants a boost, a growth boost. And in this case, we're just using a standard 20-20-20 at 1 tablespoon per gallon. So let's get on to that mammoth task. It's done with the pruning saw, taking off about 3 inches from the bottom of the very tightly wrapped roots. Actually, the roots had come out the holes in the bottom of the pot, so that makes it easy to cut off the extra ones that are wrapped at the bottom. You would still have to cut away the base of that original pot that is there in order to give the new roots space to expand. Pretty neat. The whole idea of trimming off the roots is to allow growth of new roots. The finer, newer roots would be the ones that are very active in absorbing nutrients and water. So in a way it is damaging the plant a little bit now, but it's for its own good, because we do need emergence of younger, more efficient roots for this palm to continue growing. So in addition to the roots that had come out of the pot itself and wrapped itself around, Don is going to cut off another 3 inches at the bottom. Again, because we don't want to have to do this repotting for another 2 years. So extra additional roots being cut off, and we are going to cut off some of the really large roots from the side. We're taking some of the coarse soil that was at the top that has some gravel in it and putting it in the bottom of the pot. We've also put a small, slightly smaller saucer on the inside of this pot to serve some of a reservoir. So it can hold any extra water for about 2 inches of extra water would be held in the bottom. So we're putting a layer. I think given the height of the plant, of the root ball, we're going to estimate we can put about 6 inches of potting mix at the bottom of the pot to reduce the size of the root ball from the sides. Don is trying. We're going to cut off some of the real large superized roots. Those are the anchoring roots. If the plant was going out in the field, it would use those real strong support roots to anchor it in the soil. We're going to use the pot to retain it, to contain it. So therefore there's no need for those really thick roots that wrap around. Having removed about 1/3 of the bottom of the root ball, it fit, but just barely. This is a 20-gallon pot, the largest we found in our garden center, but it looks like we could have done with a larger pot. I think that's good. What we need to do now is make sure that that plant is straight. So we're topping up the root ball with the same mixture that the original plant was growing in, which is a combination, 2 parts of our light soil, light free draining soil, 1 part compost and 1 part perlite. We wash the perlite to remove all the dust from it prior to adding it to the mix. The soil and the compost will add all of the nutrients, will provide the nutrients, and the perlite will ensure good drainage. So here it is, we've put back Foxy, as we call her. We've put her in a brand new home, lots more space. She's at the same level, growing at the same level in this new pot as she was in the old. We have not buried or covered too much of the stem. And here it's done, just tapping in to make sure that there are no air spaces. Foxy now has a nice new home. Thanks to Don and Winston. I couldn't have done it without them. They did all the heavy lifting. We measured Foxy. She's now about 10 feet tall, and at maturity is expected to get up to 20 feet. The conditions under which Foxy can get up to 20 feet, we don't expect we'll mimic those here in the courtyard. So we're hoping that it will stay in this pot for at least another 3 years, and we're prepared to do 1 more repotting if and when that is necessary. This mammoth repotting exercise, although we used foxtail palm as the candidate, you too may have plants that are way overgrown, and what we're suggesting to you is that you need to do that repotting. Stop putting it off, but of course you'll need to get the help. So go ahead, look at your plants, and if you want them to keep growing and maintain that lovely look that you have them there for, in the first place, repot. And this demonstration really is intended to encourage you to repot your overgrown plants. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, tell your friends about it, and if you haven't subscribed already, we would like you to do so, because that gives us the encouragement to bring other interesting videos for your benefit. Thank you.